Mary.
Anyway, Hasan Al, yes. There's a Hasan Piker video called Leave Trans People Alone from like a week ago. I don't know if it's more of this kind of blaming trans people, the Dems losing. Hopefully we'll get examples, because I don't really know of anyone that's like really doing that. But let's have a look. Let's see if Hasan Piker is based on trans issues. I can't say that with a straight face, I'm sorry.
Trans people are utterly defenseless, okay? There's no one going out to bat for them. And that's it.
I'm going to bat for trans people. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm saying that trans people are way better than this fucking cultist shit that so many of them are wrapped up in.
Have to stop pandering to the far left.
Oh, he reacts to fucking John Oliver. Of course he does.
Citing trans rights as an example, saying, I don't want to discriminate against anybody, but I don't think biological boys should be playing in girls' sports. And a few things.
I mean, like, sex categories in sports are inherently, like, discriminatory.
About that. First, if what you want is a centrist campaign that's quiet on trans issues, tough on the border, distances itself from Palestinians, talks a lot about law and order and reaches out to moderate Republicans, that candidate existed and she just lost. Guess how many trans speakers there were at the DNC? I'll give you a hint. It is a very round number.
Like, would that have helped? Would having trans speakers at the DNC have made the slightest bit of difference?
Also, I'm not sure how you reach out to moderate Republicans more than appearing with Liz Cheney multiple times, unless you literally dig up Henry.
Well, the thing is, he doesn't know, like, what Republicans want. None of these people do. They have to make it up. So they just watch a bunch of shit where it's like, I can't think why people won. Like, I can't think why people wouldn't have found this appealing or whatever. And it's like, well, you don't know what these people think.
Kissinger's corpse and prop it up at a rally in Michigan.
Do you mean John Oliver or do you mean Hasan? I don't like either of them, if that helps.
As Katy Perry sings, rolling.
Trans people and then the gender ideology. Yes, very true. I agree with that.
In the deep. It's okay not to have the range for a song, Katie.
The irony is the Republican anti-trans ads were not a key motivator for people going out to vote, okay? It just wasn't. Like, it is not in the top 10 things that people voted for. The number one thing is the economy, okay? People thought that it just wasn't. As ads, it is not in the top 10 things that people voted for. The number one thing is the economy, okay? People thought that Donald Trump.
He's broadly correct, but he really is just making up this kind of shit when he says, this is not what people cared about. He doesn't actually know any of that. He's just making stuff up. He is broadly correct, though.
Was going to be anti-war. They're stupid, but who cares? Okay? People are stupid enough to think that Donald Trump is actually going to fix the economy. People are stupid enough to believe the crime narratives that immigrants are causing, okay? The reason why people say the anti-trans ads were...
See, I don't know if he's remotely representing the other side correctly, you know?
Effective is because they're just like looking for something to blame. And there aren't that many...
Trump's most successful ad campaign was the Camelos for They Them one. Yeah, I mean, there's a point to which people were sick of like the woke stuff in general, and definitely signaling to that was potentially a good move.
And trans people to begin with, and there certainly aren't many trans content creators or like trans consultants that are going to come out and be like, that's fucking bullshit. No one talked about trans people. That's it. Trans people are utterly defenseless, okay? There's no...
Are we defenseless?
There's no one going out to bat for them. And that's it. So it's an easy target.
Listen, I'm going out to bat for them, but people like him are not necessarily going to like what I have to say, especially because I do not like Hasan Piker, like, at all.
Target to lie about. The problem is, if the Democrats put up a fight on the economy, okay, if the Democrats actually gave something that the Republicans had to address and fight back against, then this trans shit would be even less motion. It would have even less motion than it did. But you will never be able to convince people. Uncle Cenk thinks that that's not the case.
They're going to teach this in history class. And suddenly, for no reason at all, Trump was reelected. People will still be like wondering about this for years, having done everything they can except like ask some people why they voted Trump. Maybe just ask them what they're like. Do I feel defenseless? No, I don't fucking feel defenseless at all. I think I'm more than capable of sticking up for myself.
Virtually every fucking Democrat right now, virtually.
Yeah, the thing is, like, when stuff like this gets politicized, when like trans people become a mascot for one particular side, it kind of sucks for us because on the one hand, we've got people who are just using us. And on the other, we've got people who either hate us because of like their religious beliefs or hate us because we're a mascot for the other side. Thankfully, there seems to be a lot of people understanding that there's more to it than that.
Every Democrat right now is like running the trans people cost us the race route. You know what cost?
Are we gonna show an example of this?
The race for Kamala Harris infinitely more than trans people, which the media is not addressing at all.
Palestine?
Gaza.
Knew it. Listen, I don't even think I'd blame like the fucking Gaza cult for Trump winning. I think it was too much of a margin to even really think about it that way. You just fucking lost. People wanted Trump, not Kamala overall. There's no point sitting there pointing fucking fingers at each other. And like, if he's got these people that are like blaming trans people, just show the fucking clips. I don't know why he doesn't. I mean, I guess I do know why he doesn't, because I've seen things over the years, but like, like, come on, man. I can see why his audience is like mostly children, because I think you'd have to be pretty young to get sucked in by this shit.
Every moment that you talk about trans people is a moment you don't have to talk about.
Because Dems didn't talk about it for 3 days. We're supposed to forget the past 8 years. Yeah, exactly.
Gaza. Every moment.
Oh, thank you, Callie. I appreciate that.
Moment that you talk about trans people is a moment you don't have to address the awful campaign you ran. That's it. You didn't split from Biden on Gaza or at all.
Why didn't she do what I wanted her to do on Gaza? Why didn't she just do what I thought she should do?
And there you fucking have it. I mean, look.
He's proved it without showing any proof whatsoever. But okay. I mean, what were the numbers? What were the numbers of people that were refusing to vote for either side because they didn't like Trump and they didn't like Kamala's Gaza position? Was it that many? Is it really worth even mentioning this? If you're gonna say that trans people weren't the problem, which I kind of agree with, I think the woke shit overall was a problem. Like, why are you gonna insist that this was a problem?
Look. A reminder that this happened during the Democratic primary and it was
Look, a Twitter post, that totally changes everything. I don't give a flying fuck about Palestine, what you should especially signal. I mean, I don't really understand what they expect people to do. We had the same kind of shit in my country. I mean, we had several MPs elected because they were like Palestine votes. They had nothing to say other than free Palestine. I don't know what the point of any of that is. I don't know what we're supposed to do in the UK about Gaza, you know? I feel like he doesn't have a driver's license. Maybe not, I'm not sure. I think he owns like a Porsche or some shit.
Massive warning sign that the Dems actively ignored. We do not know what percentage still voted for Harris, Trump, or third party.
They don't know the numbers, but he's that fucking sure. Like, really, bro? Really? He just makes things up.
Or didn't vote at all, but these people were mostly registered Democrats activated enough to participate in the...
Here's the other thing. How many Dems would have decided not to vote for them if she'd have taken a more, like, pro-Palestine stance? You know, are there no Jewish people that vote for the Dems?
The Democratic Party's primaries when there was no one else running against them. And at the time, I said over and over again, the real uncommitted voters are just simply not even going to vote. They're not going to show up come November. So what you see in the party's primaries is the most active base of support for the party. So what you see in the primaries is going to be fucking 5x in the general. Primary election uncommitted vote. Michigan, 101,000 votes. General election, number of votes Harris lost by, 71,700. Wisconsin, Primary election uncommitted vote. Voters who withheld vote due to Gaza genocide. 47,800. General election number of votes. Harris.
I'm sick of seeing free Palestine. Everyone's yeah, like it's become a cult and it sucks. I have a lot of like sympathy for the people in Palestine. I think it's pretty fucked up what's going on, but I never want to talk about it because I don't want to sound like one of those people. And I don't really like sort of treating this kind of shit like team sports. Like, do the people in like Palestine and in Israel really want this shit turned into a fucking Twitter trend?
Lost by 33,000. Pennsylvania, primary election uncommitted number.
I doubt any of them knew what Palestine even was before October 7th. There seems to be an awful lot of people there that don't understand the history of like that area, that don't understand what it was, and then it was taken over by the Romans. I think it was named Palestine by the Romans. I could be wrong though.
Number.
It's a good thing he's handsome. Yeah, like, this is the kind of guy, I'm not into guys myself. If I was, I'd consider it maybe. And then when I hear the voice, it's like, okay, maybe not. I'm just going to go. You sound like Ralph Wiggum.
120,000. General election number of voters. Harris lost by 134,000. And once again, I remind you that it's not going to be a perfect number. It's
not going to be a perfect number.
Actually significantly more people who then didn't go out and vote. The real uncommitted people simply just don't vote. These are people who are uncommitted that are so firmly invested in the Democratic Party that they're participating in the primary process. North Carolina, 88,900 votes. Kamala Harris lost North Carolina by 191,933 votes. You have to understand, no, it's not. She would have still lost PA. Dude, you're missing the point.
Oh no, she would have totally won because Hasan said so.
Every single uncommitted voter wasn't going to vote for Kamala Harris anyway, okay? You don't look at the primary to look at, the primary to the general election number is not 1-to-1, okay? Who participates in the Democratic Party's primary process, especially when there is no candidate? Who participates in that process?
Yeah, these people like their post hoc rationalizations. I mean, I can imagine this guy probably was pushing the Gaza stuff the entire time and saying how like, oh, they need to do what I think they should do on Gaza, otherwise they'll lose votes. There's every possibility that like people listened to him and didn't vote because of it. So hey,
people who are registered diehard Democratic Party supporters. I know this because I did door knocking I canvassed and I door knocked during the primaries for Bernie Sanders. And what I saw in that process was a shit ton of...
This is massive cope. He just wants a reason as to why he was right the whole time, I guess. You know, what he's saying, I guess, is possible, but how are you going to prove any of it? Oh.
Okay. Bernie supporters who simply were not going out to actually vote for Bernie Sanders. They didn't even know the primary was happening. Most people...
Bernie Sanders supporters not going out to vote for Bernie Sanders. What, are they stupid or something? Like, if you're that invested in like your party and stuff, surely you'd be really on top of like those dates and stuff. Wait, I want to hear that again.
We're not going out. A shit ton of Bernie supporters who simply were not going out to actually vote for Bernie Sanders.
I don't know. It just hits me in the worst way.
They didn't even know the primary was happening. Most people don't know the primary process is happening when it's happening, okay?
If they're that big on Bernie Sanders, you'd think they fucking... What does he want America to actually do about Gaza? Fuck knows. Most of the time, people seem to just want their leaders from a million miles away from Gaza to condemn the war or some shit, and then they do, and then nothing happens, and it's like, what is the point in any of that shit?
There were people who fucking Googled, did Joe Biden drop out on November 4? Okay? The f are you talking about? Most people don't even know the general election is happening.
I mean, if this is the case, then like, what hope is there for anyone? Just fucking flip a coin, I guess, and one of them will win. Like, people just don't show up and vote? Well, then, I don't know. Should you be trying to convince more people to vote, maybe? I don't know what he's been doing to, like, convince people to vote. because he mostly talks about Gaza and makes a lot of stuff up about that, bear in mind. And like, he hates America. So I don't know how many people he's like inspiring to get out there and try and make one of the candidates win over the other.
There are people who ask me, can I vote tomorrow on Tuesday? Can I vote the rest of this week on Tuesday?
Okay, your fan base, there's something wrong with them. Almost like whenever there's elections and stuff here, I feel like, you know, I've been at work and stuff and people have been talking about it like all day. People don't forget that shit, you know?
People that I know. I'm telling you, man, you guys are so locked in and laser focused on the political process that you cannot imagine what the average fucking median voter is thinking or their depth of knowledge when it comes to this sort of stuff. Okay?
Crazy for a Turk to be lecturing anyone about genocide. Yeah, true.
Okay? Understand that if
that was an actual genocide, by the way.
There are 10,000 primary voters that say in the primaries, I'm not voting for Biden. That means there's probably 100,000 voters who are not going to vote for Biden. It's indicative of a much larger number of people. That means you lost 10,000 die-in-the-wool, die-hard Democratic Party supporters in the process. Now, we don't know how many of these...
If they'd have taken a different stance on Gaza, how many would they have lost in the process then?
These uncommitted voters turned around and voted for Kamala.
I'll be honest, I have a friend who's Turkish, and he's like really, really nice guy.
Harris. We don't know how many of them turned around and voted for Donald Trump. We don't know how many of them turned around and voted third party, and we don't know how many of them didn't vote. But what you have to understand is that, like I said, if 10,000 voters that are diehard registered Democrats who are participating in the Democratic primary when there's not a single candidate out there.
So we've like accounted for 10,000 people. Trump won by a bit more than 10,000.
That means there's probably 100,000 people that are just simply not voting.
This is tedious. Talk about trans people some more.
Primary versus general turnouts.
I'll be honest. I don't think Hasan Piker would ever do terrorism. I think he's way too much of a wimp for that shit.
Since 2000.
He's got a comfortable life, you know what I mean? Like, he gets to pretend to be a smart guy for a massive living. Like, why would he risk any of that? He's like sorted. Like, capitalism has done him very, very well. He gets to fucking hate his country and the mode of distribution of his country while having done exceptionally well in his country. Like, that's the dream, right?
Primaries, turnout, 27%, general, 57%. New Jersey, primary.
You're enjoying the British adverts. I was meant to get premium, but I'm having problems with like anything that I can have problems with right now. He refuses to fight Sam Hyde. Yeah. To be fair, I would too. I would get destroyed by Sam Hyde, but I don't know. I'm not scared of him. Hasan clearly is. A lot of these people are scared of Sam Hyde. What was that Xanderhal video? At the start, it was like content warning. Sam Hyde appears for a few seconds. It's like, really? And your fans like 5?
Election turnout, 11%, 37 in the general. In the presidential, there were multiple candidates. Primary election turnout in Illinois, 23%, general, 61%. Do you understand? No, that was 2022, and I'm going back to 2020 numbers now for that reason, because that was midterms. Montana, primary election turnout, 45%, general election, 72%. It is at the very...
Like, he's establishing that less people voted, maybe. Like, okay. When we ask why, your answer is fucking Gaza? I just don't know about this.
Very least, twice the amount. Okay? Same principle in 2016. It doesn't matter. Michigan primary election in 2016, 18% turnout, 63% in the general. New York primary election turnout, 19%, 50% in the general. New Jersey primary, 20%. People won by a lot.
It does look like a periodic table.
Oh my God. Look at these fucking numbers, dude. Look at these fucking numbers. and this is not the only number to look at. I think at this point, if you're refusing to reckon with the number of people that either didn't vote for Kamala Harris, stayed at home, or voted for Donald Trump, or voted for Jill Stein or whatever third party due to Gaza in key states that Kamala had to win, you are purposely deluding yourself. There was 1 million different polls that were conducted on this issue. Okay. Even by pure primary numbers, the uncommitted voters in Michigan would have captured Kamala Harris the W. That's it. No, it's not just 2 states, chatters. Oh my God. You're looking at raw numbers. Not every
Is he really going to keep... Oh my God.
single person that voted uncommitted in the primary didn't vote for Kamala Harris. That's not what I'm saying at all. Why is this so fucking hard for people to understand? Why are you saying XQC?
I think it's hard to understand because you're not really demonstrating much of anything.
Ugh.
Economy, the borders, and woke for the reasons. Hi, Amanda Meme Witch. I want to see if he admits any of that though.
Progressives in the huge Muslim community in Michigan thought Harris was too pro-Israel, so they refused to vote for her. Now that Trump won, Israel's preparing to annex the West Bank. Biting off your nose to spite your face is a thing. Yeah, this guy's such a fucking piece of shit.
How is he a piece of shit?
Because, guess what? He didn't give a about Gaza to begin with. Clearly. Like, why are you acting like you gave a Senior allies of Harris pushed the campaign in the DNC to have a Palestinian speaker on stage at the August convention trying to...
He can't prove a point and gets mad when no one understands him. Yeah, that sounds about right. No wonder he doesn't debate anymore.
Further, the goodwill Harris had earned from the Arab and Muslim communities furious over Gaza, but they were denied. Going over the script ahead of time, Harris said, "We missed our fundraising deadline." Then she stopped and told aides, "We can't lie to people by saying they missed their fundraising goals." According to...
Yeah, like, is he going to consider the fact that she had to run a pretty fast campaign? Like, because Biden dropped out halfway through. But no, it's Gaza. It's Gaza. He was always right about Gaza, and anyone who disagrees is a fucking idiot. Whatever shit he normally says, I don't know. I'm not a Hasan watcher.
4 people with knowledge of the conversation. One junior level aide later had
Oh,
to
hi, Tharg 2000, by the way.
tell Harris's campaign chief of staff the truth. The campaign had missed its fundraising goals. There had been rumblings about the financial situation since September, said one Democrat. Another said the campaign had missed its fundraising goal in September after money slowed in August, and the boon from the convention wasn't as high as the campaign expected.
Is that his trademark? Why are Americans being situated that we have to care about Gaza when we can't afford groceries? I have no idea. I feel the same way in my country. We voted in several MPs purely because of their free Gaza stuff and no other reason. As if the UK can do fuck all about Gaza or Israel. I really don't know. He's convinced that that's what the issue is. I guess he just wants to be like, see, I was right the whole time. And once someone like this gets on that train, there's no getting him off of it. You either agree or you disagree and get called a fucking retard or whatever it is he says.
Boon from the convention wasn't as high as the campaign expected.
You okay, bruh? Why are they talking about fundraising problems? Harris rate considerably more than Trump. Again, I'm not sure.
How wrong could everyone have gotten this when I just saw it with my own 2 damn eyes? And in spite of all signs pointing to momentum shifting, the early gains made by the campaign in terms of fundraising, when they responded to public pressure. I said this at the last night of the Democratic National Convention. I said, these guys are delusional. But hey, don't listen to me. What the
He's already sunk too much time on Gaza. Yeah, true. I mean, it's his brand, I guess.
do I know? I fucking said it. Bro, the left is just a bunch of crazies.
I mean, this guy knows what what an Israeli missile sounds like. He knows what a Hamas missile sounds like. He knows the tones of about 30 different countries of missile. You know?
The majority is tired of it. I know, dude. Leftist figures like Liz Cheney and Kamala Harris need to be excised from the party. You're right. These fucking loony bin lefties like Liz Cheney, all the Clinton administration and all the Obama administration consultants need to be cut out. You're so right, brother. We need real Americans out here. We need.
It's so weird him saying that when he hates America. Does he hate Americans? I don't know. People don't care about Gaza. Harris would have gone about Gaza more. She would have lost even worse than she did. Yeah, quite possibly. He doesn't seem to have considered that pushing like the Gaza thing could have hit her in the face even more than not pushing it. So I don't know. You're always going to lose voters for one reason or another. I don't see how this is such a big issue that it completely like cost the election.
We need real Americans who care about American citizens. We need real Americans who are going to sit back and say, enough is enough. No more fucking wars. Why are we spending billions of dollars on overseas operations to advance the interests of corporate profits, to advance the interests of the goddamn defense industry so that a bunch of Raytheon executives can turn profit, okay? When we got 650,000 homeless people in this.
How often does he talk about homeless people in America? I mean, if we've got so many homeless people in your country, wasn't he backing Harris for a while? Quite possibly. I don't really know how to search because he's kind of everywhere. I don't know. But yeah, that was probably the case, let's be honest.
In country right now that are sleeping outside. Why the are we letting these goddamn loony left?
I don't know. Why weren't you talking about like the homeless or going out helping the homeless instead of sitting there telling people by what you can hear that it was a JDAM missile and that Israel totally just did another genocide? What about that? How many homeless people has he fucking helped?
Leftists like Liz Cheney with their permanent war attitude. These loony leftists like Kamala Harris with their permanent.
He hasn't has he substantiated this weird loony leftist thing he's saying like at all?
War perspectives. Run the goddamn country. I especially hate the likes of avowed loony leftists, radical Marxists.
If I were American, would I have voted for Kamala or Trump? I think I probably would have voted Kamala through gritted teeth because I really don't like the Jan 6th stuff. I think some of the sexual assault stuff is probably true. I can't really prove it or anything. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you're good. New Fourier 6.
Richie Torres going to Michigan to be like, no, you don't understand. The most leftist position you can get is permanently funding Israel's genocide in Gaza. Or fucking Bill Clinton being like, yeah, no, you don't understand. Like, the Bible says Israel belongs to Israel.
Oh my God, how dare people have a different perspective to you, Hasan? Jesus Christ, he's a baby. Anyway, I tend to consider that the Capitol rampage was probably an act of treason. I think so too. I've clearly lost the argument on that, whether or not it was, because he's going to be the president again. So to me, it's kind of like, I don't know. People can vote for someone that I have distaste for. That's fucking allowed. I'm not like that myself. I don't kind of hold that kind of shit over people's heads. Anyway, that was Hasan. Leave trans people alone. We talked about trans people for a good 30 seconds there. Amazing.